Recorded on January 23rd, 2013 in front of a live internet audience. This week's Design Chat is brought to you by Piction app, because some pictures need captions. Find it in the iOS store for just 99 cents. Well, we had some technical difficulties this week with some lag and talking over each other and that sort of thing. That sort of stuff just happens, so I re-recorded some of the questions, so sorry about that. We'll work on it and enjoy the rest. Hello and welcome to Design Chat, the best live design discussion on the internet. I'm your host, Ryan McGovern. On Twitter, I'm at Hoopajube and at Design Chat. Every once in a while, we get together with some of the coolest people from the design community and chat. And this week, we're talking to Mr. Tyler Finck. Golf clap. Welcome, Mr. Tyler Finck. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm great. I'm here.
And how's your beard?
How you doing? It's good. It's good. Everything's good.
So, all right. I don't remember exactly how it happened. I start off this way sometimes. The way that I stumbled upon your web presence was via the Piction app. I have no recollection whatsoever of how I found it, but I did, and I loved it. So that's why Mr. Finck is here. So usually we start off. How about let's do this? For people who are not familiar with you or your work, give a brief history, background, who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Tyler. I've been designing professionally, only doing design since about 2005. Coincided with my son being born and needing to make a living independently at home, kind of working your own hours, whatever. So yeah, about, what is that? Geez, 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, between 7.5 and 8 years ago, working with a friend, making websites with tables in Dreamweaver, kind of teaching ourselves how to do it. I didn't go to school for design. I went to make movies with my friend AJ, who is in on this chat right now, among other people. But just kind of fell in love with design, all kinds of design, to promote these things that I was making in college. Pretty much, it was like, oh, hey, I need to get the word out about this movie or whatever. And so yeah, I've been making it. I spent about 5 of the last whatever years at AWP, which is a company in Ithaca, New York, which is the company that put out Piction. Small shop, about 10 people. And we've been doing a lot of just mostly websites, but starting with logos, banging through everything multimedia-wise, start to finish. It's a full-service shop. And that's really kind of where I think I honed my chops, both at the office and after the office, just getting together with guys, just spitballing ideas, coming up with things like Piction, which kind of really happened outside of the 9 to 5 at first, and then it bled into the workday. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing less web design these days more than anything else. But that's kind of where I really got started, was just focusing on websites. And I know my site a bunch of years ago, it used to go under the name Seriously. And I had this horizontal scrolling site a long time ago that got a lot of attention and was ripped off time after time. So I kind of became notorious, I think, as the guy who made it, maybe not notorious, but known for this guy who made this site that got stolen a bunch, which was kind of cool. And it just sat there for years, and I hated it, and that, whatever, it's history. But yeah, now I've finally gotten to a comfortable point where I can make music, I can take photos and make prints and do all these other things, in addition to making cool things like Piction and websites for people. So it's my story.
I always like hearing the sort of, the beginnings. It's like all these superhero movies that we get to see, where you get the introduction to the superhero, and how do they gain the powers that they have today to do the amazing things that they do. And I think it's kind of a rare path for someone who was studying filmmaking to end up in design. I'm hearing a lot of designers who are venturing into filmmaking. So maybe shed a little bit of light on that path, and oh, did we lose him? Did you kick your cord?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Really?
Yeah. Well, my keyboard got yanked. So It won't happen again. I'm sorry.
You
What were you saying?
I was
before I
ranting
got
about
booted?
how I think you're a superhero, and the path that you took. It's rare that we see people going from filmmaking to design. So shed a little bit of light on how that really all went down for you.
Sure. Well, like I was I spent 4 years, I guess, the better part of 4 years, just making bad college, movies that film majors make. Um, and before my senior year, I spent a summer in Los Angeles working on a bunch of movies. Working on 2 movies, Starsky and Hutch and Bad Santa, and then being in an office reading screenplays for Miramax as an internship. I just hated it. I hated the whole scene. I hated it. And that's like what I was imagining. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make movies, go off to Hollywood and become famous and have my vision, be the next Paul Thomas Anderson. But I got really disenchanted with the industry. I really liked LA, surprisingly, and just in terms of a place. It's like a different country. But so I kind of realized that filmmaking was kind of like on the out for me, and just really got into, like I said, designing for like promotional things that I already made. I'm like, oh, I kind of have developed this body of work. I want to share it, but I need another way to share it. And so that's why I was like, oh, hey, I can make a site on GeoCities. This was 2003. Like, yeah, I can copy paste this site together WYSIWYG style, and that's exactly what I did. And then you just Google how to do X, Y, and Z. Back in the day, like, how do I make a basic HTML page? And then it wasn't until I got to AWP when they said, hey, quit looking in Dreamweaver at this like split design view of what you're doing. Just you'll get way further ahead if you can just look at the code. And so it kind of became this. I just became fascinated with the technology behind it, with CSS especially. That was like 2000. That was about 2006. And now I am getting back. Actually, it's weird. Now I'm kind of doing less web work and more video work. But I kind of am trying to mix them both and make these sort of documentary, these nonfiction pieces that that can be published on the web, because no one I know is watching TV or has these sets at home or is playing DVDs. I mean, people aren't even going to the theaters. As far as like I feel like I go once or twice a month, and I'm seeing more movies than anyone else I know. It's sort of these worlds kind of colliding, even though they haven't lined up for me at the same time until now. And another reason I kind of left film was because I couldn't afford the gear. I had like this digital 8 camera, which was pretty high tech. Next best thing to like a mini DV cam or 16 millimeter film. But after college, I was just broke, and I realized I could make websites for free on my computer, but I couldn't make movies for free. And now with DSLRs, it's quite, you can create something pretty stunning, for $500. It's remarkable the amount of technology is just available. So it's kind of like full circle. I will get burned out on one thing and switch gears. Luckily, I can do that. I'm not limited to just one medium. So it's working out.
It's your insight into how your circle of friends, the people are not going to the movies, they're not watching movies on DVD. I think this story, we're in the middle of this story right now of what's happening to the movie industry. I don't think the artists who are creating these movies, I don't think those people are going away so much as the really bloated industry types who create jobs for interns to sit in a room and read through 100 scripts. I think that part of the industry is what's going away. And an interesting bit of sort of timely news, you've got the whole thing with Kim.com and his mega upload site. He has his freedom back, he has his money, and he launched a new site just on Saturday, I think it was. And so if you guys are familiar with the story, Kim.com, it's this guy who at the time started a, what was the name of the original upload service?
Mega Upload.
Yeah, Mega Upload. Now it's just like mega.co.nz or something like that. And so the story goes, so he had this it's an upload site. Everybody's uploading all sorts of data there and sharing data, some of it legal, some of it illegal. And it's reported that it's the movie industry who ultimately is the motivation for having gone after him, influenced the New Zealand government to crack down. They ascend upon his house with helicopters and high tactical maneuvers, and it's just him, his wife, and like 4 kids. They arrest him, they seize all of his assets, all of his goods, and they throw him in jail. Well, he's a really smart guy and lawyered up. It turned out they didn't have the right warrants they needed, all this kind of stuff, and it's really long, involved story about this guy, you know, who ultimately, I mean, they're trying to wipe his businesses off the face of the planet, and it's all motivated by the and what do they say, the MPAA, right? But months later, back up with another service, you know, so far in 4 days, becoming very big.
Yeah, that it's been too swamped for me to even like bring up on my computer at home. Mega's just been down for me, and it's been funny to see on Reddit people saying like, "Hey, has anyone actually been able to use it?" But you're right. It's, you know, it's a wild world we've come to in terms of files. I mean, just like this morning, I among 250,000 other people apparently got an email from Louis C.K. Because I bought a movie that do you know who Louis C.K. is, the comedian?
Yeah.
I mean, he's self-releasing his own stuff, publishing it, spitting it out there with no digital rights management, completely independently, and is, you know, getting it to the people who want it easily, who need it cheaply, and that's it. I mean, that's the future to me. I mean, and that's kind of the route that, I mean, I learned a lesson like a year and a half ago when I put a font. I'm like, oh, hey, I can sell a font myself. I don't need to go through another service. Like if you can just create good content, people will come to it. People will flock to it. And I mean, I'm gobbling up Louis C.K.'s stuff as fast as I can.
It's sort of amazing, the public awareness that it's how slow. I think it.
Oh no,
go ahead. How slowly I think the public is becoming aware. Artists and makers, people who create things for a living, are trusting, believing that they can actually support themselves and sell their goods online. You know, there's masses who are doing this successfully, but I mean, the Louis C.K. story alone is proof that people are still going, oh wow, somebody of that magnitude, somebody can really not need a distributor, not need a middleman, not need a whole company to manage all of that stuff. It's all a lot of these tools are free online too. On top of that.
Yeah, Fetch app. That's how I serve up some of my stuff, my digital stuff, for sure. It's cheap, it's easy.
I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, I was telling you guys to log in. We are going to start taking questions a little bit. You can see as your stuff is flying by chat room, sometimes we'll pop it up on the screen like this. Put on screen. See, Fetch app. That's what we're talking about. And so we'll start taking some of those questions soon. So definitely start asking the questions. We'll fill them up in the queue, and then we'll start knocking them down. If you are not signed in, please sign in. You'll be able to interact with the chat room much better that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, digging through your portfolio, you're at I think it was tylerfinck.com.
Yep.
Used to be Seriously. Now you switched over.
Yeah. What's that?
You have such a wide variety of projects, right? I mean, there's fonts, there's songs, there's video, there's book stuff, there's interactive. I mean, it's really all over the place. Is this a product of you want to dabble, you naturally take to things, or are you intentionally sort of casting a wide net on the different types of creative projects you take on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's definitely intentional. I've certainly found that by being able to kind of have my hands in everything, I don't get burned out in any one technology or creative medium. And I find it does all tie together well. Like you know, if you're looking at a website, there's usually, I mean, the pieces of it, there's you know, usually beautiful photos and beautiful text and a, you know, a well thought out layout and a design. So they just kind of started all coming together, and I realized that I want to be making these things independently not as quick as I can, but a lot of the time. Um, so things like fonts they're actually it's a big time investment. It is kind of more tedious than anything else, and then music is more of a creative. I mean, not so creative, more just relaxed output. Um, which is not a sort of professional thing that I kind of want to keep on the personal realm, because I've learned from watching a lot of other musicians like Gavin Castleton, who I made a website for, but he's a phenomenal musician, proving that you can have insane amounts of ability and still struggle to get by as a musician, as an artist. That is one, I think, channel that hasn't quite caught on in terms of bands making money. But so I'm not trying to make money from music, but it is something I love. It's actually something I have the most history in, with piano lessons starting at age 6 or 7. So I've been making music longer than I've been making websites, but it all comes together. I just love making things, anything in general. I've been trying to make this moss graffiti with my kid, um, which is really hard. Have you heard of moss graffiti?
Yeah. What surface are you growing it on?
We've been trying different types of wood, because we're growing it indoors, because it's 5 degrees out right now, in Ithaca. So we're trying it on wood. I'm actually going to go. I have some stones that I want to kind of do. So yeah, I mean, I'm always looking to make something new and something fun, something that's kind of challenging, but also just has a really cool payoff. I mean, it's really neat especially with Piction, to see people making something from this app that I've made with fonts that I've made in it. I mean, it's wildly rewarding for me, but it's just really fun. So yeah.
It's interesting to hear your experience in creating type itself, and then knowing that Piction started as a thought in your head of, hey, I want a way using a phone on this sort of touchscreen operating system to be able to get type onto image, in an elegant way and have it look good, right? Without using crazy filters or weird shit like that. So it just, I don't know if I even have a question about it. Maybe I want to hear more about, that, how you went through that process of, I want to try to figure out how to do this, and then how eventually that became a collaboration with the company you work for.
Okay, Piction story. What do you want to know? Yesterday we actually put out this really cool thing. I can paste it in so that you can see what other people are doing. Did you get to see that by any chance? No, so now I'm about to post it in on the Piction website. We basically just did a search with Instagram, so you could see what other people are posting up there, which has been very enlightening. So if you go to Pictogram, you can kind of see what's being tagged with Piction, and it doesn't update automatically. That's something we gotta build into it. But you can scroll back to the whatever, as far back as the hashtag will go, essentially, and see what other people are doing. And this alone, this little page, has been the most fascinating aspect to this whole project, just to see what people are doing. I mean, when I was beta testing the app, I was doing this day of the week sort of thing, where I was just writing what day of the week it was and kind of plopping it right in the center of a Piction and just uploading it and tagging it day of the week. And I think after the app launched, I mean, just started seeing 4 or 5 people doing that every day. So it's interesting to see conventions get picked up. And I've been trying to share with every Piction that I put online. I've been trying to share what typeface I use and whether I used it in conjunction with other apps. Because I've just found I just have so much fun. I mean, the fact that you can make things.
Everybody go to pictionapp.com
like they do on an iPod.
The link
I have an iPod. I don't have an iPhone. I have like a new.
And if you
iPod,
got it up, just hit refresh.
But you can make things look
image on there that says "I made this" with a triangle shape on there.
I just use Snapseed and the Visual Supply Company app.
Yeah.
And really, that's all I need to make it.
It's an iPhone stand I made out of
usually 1, 2, 3, and it looks like a lot of fun. So
nice.
So it's been.
Well, I'm going to pay attention to that hashtag now. That's pretty cool.
Did you just do that? Nice. It's tons of fun. That's awesome. You could sell that. Oh, cool. Yeah, hashtag's a lot of fun. Um, so that's been, I mean, the neatest thing to see so far.
So
So how long did the Piction app take to create from idea to publishing?
That's a good question. I should scroll back and see when that first picture that and let me look at just at my Instagram account. I mean, I think it was about 2 months. If I had to, well, a month and a half, maybe 2 months tops. And yeah, I mean, I should give a big shout out to the guy who made it, Scott Nelson, who's at AWP. I think he's twitter.com/Scott Nelson with no vowels. Um, so it was about 2 months. We sent in the app like December 20th, and we kind of got lost in that Apple blackout period that happened around the holidays. Um, but Apple's first day back, the App Store's first day back after the holidays, it went live. So yeah, I'd say it was about 2 months, start to finish. And yeah, I came up with the concept, the logo, and the design for basically every screen you see in just a few hours, and just kind of just one night after work. Um, and after that, there really wasn't much design that had to happen. It was mostly just refining the interactions within the app, and picking the right fonts. I mean, we actually had a lot more typefaces at one point. We kind of went through and we crossed out a bunch of fonts that some of us love, but just didn't work, and we wanted to keep it really limited. And so I actually think picking the fonts, even though it shouldn't have been, I think it should have been more collaborative. It was, I think, came down to just me and one or two other guys saying like,
wow.
no, let's go with what we have here. So it was pretty quick, and it wasn't something that we worked on every day either. I mean, it was an hour to two one day, and then no one works on it for 3 or 4 days. So it wasn't dedicated time. I think if you condensed the entire timeline of the project, you could get it down to a 40-hour work week.
It's just really cool to see. Okay.
Froze again.
Project
Sorry.
on your website right now, bookofbeards.com. You helped this photographer who put together this book set up a website so he can sell the book. Proceeds go to fight cancer. Epic book. It should be more famous than it is. Everybody go check out book. Open another tab right now. Go check out bookofbeards.com. It's awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. The book is awesome. I've got it on my coffee table over there. Justin James Muir is a very talented photographer who I never met in person, again, through just the design world and the internet world, through Gavin Castleton, a mutual friend. And so Justin said he needed a site pretty quickly before his show, basically the book launch, and asked if I would help him out. He said, and I was. It's not that I was hesitant, but I'm just kind of busy, and so I don't take on it. And this was something that we talked about would be pro bono. Just gotta get it done. And because it was it's a nonprofit, I wasn't gonna ask for money. But what sold me was he said, let's make it one page. Can only be one page, and that was that's kind of what I stand for. I think if you're really serious about pushing a product or any sort of specific agenda, you should be able to do it in one page. And that's really all he wanted. So that was another really quick project, about a week and a half from start to finish. But it worked out really well because I kind of had the concept for the scrolling down the beard, because he had these beautiful photos. It's hard to not want to show his high resolution facial hair, as big as you can. So he liked the concept, and then it was just a matter of coding it. And there's no content management system because he can wrangle a little bit of code. So I was able to just design it, code it, put it up there for him to edit, and it was done. And I know Time Magazine, the Time website mentioned it, and it's received a lot of attention, which is great because all that money is really going to a good place.
We got a couple questions stacking up here. Really what was the thinking behind the identity consolidation there? Personal branding as the new pen name and such.
Yeah, I've been Sursley since I don't even know 2006 or something. I just kind of grew out of it. It seemed like a silly thing. I saw a lot of you know, hashtags seriously from these like little teenagers talking about YOLO and stuff on the internet. So I just needed to I needed to separate myself from that, and I had already bought the domain tylerfink.com, and I'd rather just be Fink, but that's taken. So it was really just kind of letting
Have you had
the
any
question
typographers comment on Piction and its use of typography? Great question from MJ Ashley.
I not a single typographer has said anything other than, hey, it's a cool app. My friend Micah at the League of Movable Type and a good company has played with it and is making pictures, and they look great. And he knows there are fonts from the league. I tried to contact everyone that we used a font from, as far as if I could find their contact information. I would send an email saying, hey, I'd like to include your font. You know, we just whatever. And I didn't hear back from anyone. So not a single person wrote back. And so I'm like, all right, I'll throw some of my own fonts in there and be like, you know, this is, you could be a part of this if you want to. You're not going to get paid, but yeah, just hop on. But no, people who love typography, I think this is kind of an app for everyone. People who don't even know, you know, what kerning is. At the same time, I have friends who are very particular about their type, and like, oh, hey, man, you know, you got to adjust the spacing and whatever, lickety split or something for this. And it's just, so I think in terms of what the app does, it's gotten a really good reception. Not a lot of people have commented on the typefaces we use. I think half of the typefaces in Piction are already built in onto iOS, which was a very conscious decision, because there are, you know, beautiful fonts on there. And the newest version is going to have a few more. We're actually going to ditch 2 typefaces of the current version in the current version of Piction, and there will be 2 new typefaces added to replace. So the number will stay the same, but I think I kind of mentioned which ones were going away, but I don't want to say now so that you're not heartbroken, but also so that it'll be fun for the update. But yeah, no, that's a really great question, MJ Ashley. I'm hoping that the typography community says a little something about it, whether they love it or hate it. It'd be good to hear. I've kind of always been on the outside, even though I've been making these free fonts for years. It doesn't seem like there's been a big. It's not really, I think, what I'm known for. People, like, after the fact, they think, oh, you made Blackout and Ostrich Stand. How many downloads of Piction? No, that is not a technology that was built into the app. We have no way of knowing. I mean, no way of knowing based on whatever statistics on the that are being captured. We're not tracking that data. I could look at Instagram and see what people are posting. So I don't know what typefaces them. Amatic SC is a really popular one. A lot of people are using Lickety Split. Homemade Apple, which is a script font. A lot of people are using the same ones. There are some that haven't been used at all. I don't think I've seen anyone use American Typewriter. And Sniglet, only a few uses of Sniglet. So it's interesting seeing how people use the app, and if anything, I've noticed that the black text function is almost not used by anyone. Your font could be white or black, basically, in Piction. And based on the usage, I would almost say, like, let's just ditch the black altogether. No one's using the black, you know. In the App Store, we've been, people have given us bad reviews because they say, oh, you can't even choose what color it is. Then there are these people who say, oh, the app's great, it's so simple, and they're making beautiful things with just black or white. And really, it might just be white, who knows. But
not a lot of clicks. It's all right there in front of you. And it's like you could do it with one hand on the corner of your eye. It's that kind of interaction, and I love that about it. So future, next steps. You said there's another version of it. There's more typefaces. You're utilizing. You're asking people to utilize a hashtag and post on Instagram. I mean, maybe talk a little bit about the sort of picture app atmosphere right now. I mean, Instagram obviously is winning in a lot of different ways. and becoming the backbone for sharing images via a mobile device. Talk a little bit about the thought process in moving forward with the app.
Yeah, we don't have I think a favorite. It's not like we said, oh, we really want this to be big on Instagram. So I think we'll probably go where the people want it to go in terms of social sharing. There was a lot of talk in development as to whether or not we make it its own social network of pictions. I think the consensus was that it would be too saturated with just text on photos, text on photos. Same kind of thing I was worried about with that pictogram page that you see. But it turned out that uh-oh. I'm still here. I'm still flapping my lips. Okay, cool. So in terms of a roadmap, we'll allow people to share it, I think, wherever they want, and because you can just download your Piction, you can kind of email it or do whatever you want with it. Nothing is. We just want to make it really fun for people to put text on photos. And yeah, sometimes after Piction, I'll run it through another app to process it even more. And so I think getting all these things to work together is nice. I would like to be able to send a photo from one app to the next, so I could bypass a few screens, which I know we can build in, but other people would have to sort of build into the existing apps. But with the new version is going to have the tall screen support. That was like the biggest request, and something that we've had on the map for a while. And there are some other just subtle features. Nothing that's really going to change how Pictions work. There's been a lot of talk about should we be able to rotate text, and there are a lot of apps out there that we realized throughout this process already allow you to put text on images, and they all kind of do it a different way. There's this app called TinyPic, which is beautiful, but when you actually putting your text on top of the images isn't a very smooth process, and the results I don't think are as clean. So they all have pros and cons. Like that is a beautifully designed, thought out. It does have its own social network, TinyPic, but the user experience is totally different because the finished product just isn't the same. And some people from the app Over contacted me because it is doing something similar. And Over is something where I think it's kind of the opposite problem. You can create something beautiful, but it feels like a lot of hard work to get there. So
cool. Well,
there haven't been a lot of people saying, "Oh, I wish it could do X, Y, or Z," and
push it up.
Any other apps on the horizon?
Yeah, there's a new one that we just started and designed and wireframed and are ready for production, but we're waiting because we are such a small shop. We're waiting until the next version of Piction goes out, and then sort of we're gonna let Piction sit for a little bit and do this new app, which is it's another camera. It's kind of like a social camera app, not social in its own network, but social in that you're interacting with strangers in photography. I think it's kind of cool. It's fun. It'll be funny. I don't want to say too much about it other than you're going to be, sending your photo out into the wild. It's kind of cool. I think it'll be pretty simple. Probably another.
The acronym for your company, Ancient Wisdom Productions. Do you have any history on that?
Yeah, the president, Christopher Del Colo, started it, I think, 10 years ago. This is the 10-year anniversary of AWP. And he's a very contemplative guy, a thinker, and I think just really respected the old, not necessarily traditional, but the wisdom that came from sort of older ways of doing things, whether they're the most conventional ways or not. And the frog is sort of his animal, the spirit animal, and the animal of the shop, because it's been around so long. It's adaptable. Again. It's really adaptable, and I think
it's tough to do this when we
pretty much sums up the company so much so that we really just gone with the frog and ditched Ancient Wisdom Productions, even though it's still the name AWP is suffice.
It was gorgeous, and they all missed it.
It's how we're going.
MJ Ashley is contributing quite a bit tonight. We've got. Sort of a comment. Do you have any interest in motion graphics? Love of film and design? It would be seem like a natural progression, but she or he is not seeing any of that work in
it was beautiful.
Your portfolio. So is that something you've been involved in at all? Dabbled in, tried any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, yes and no. It's very intimidating, and labor intensive and resource heavy. I have this little MacBook Pro. That said, the past few months I've been able to sort of teach myself the basics in Cinema 4D. And really I am interested in taking very subtle modeled elements and inserting them into photos and videos. That's kind of, I think, the first thing on the horizon for me. I've been working on a music video for one of the songs from my latest album, Paths, which is kind of, it's weird. It's not like a single. It's more of, it'd be like more of a short film than a music video, because the song is 9 minutes long. But it's just, and maybe I can link to it in a second.
Well, we had some more technical difficulties near the end of the show, so just want to thank Symbolic for letting us broadcast from their offices. Check them out, symbolic.com, SMBOLIC.com. And also a big thank you to Tyler Finck for hanging out with us that Wednesday night. Great backstory on Piction and all the stuff that he's doing and all the stuff he's going to do. Check him out on Twitter at Finck, Finck, and tylerfinck.com. Till next time, Design Chat.